Walter, an Austrian through and through, or, to refine the provenance, a Viennese scion of that storied city's labyrinthine streets, where the Danube's whisper mingles with the strains of Strauss waltzes echoing from gilded ballrooms, cut a figure both towering and gaunt, his frame elongated like a Modigliani silhouette stretched taut on the rack of wartime privations. His aquiline nose a prominent brow bisecting the pale canvas of his face, a beakish prominence that evoked the aristocratic severity of Habsburg portraits, flanked by deep-set eyes of nearly obsidian hue, wells of intensity that upon our inaugural encounter amid the clamor of induction barracks, conjured unbidden the spectral visage of Paganini, that violin virtuoso whose gaze pierced souls as surely as his strings rent the air with diabolical fire. Conscripted forthwith upon the cap-and-gown ceremonies, dust settling from his gymnasium's marbled halls, where he'd pored over dog-eared tomes of Schiller and Schopenhauer under gaslights flickering like hesitant stars, Walter emerged as the cadre's undisputed savant, his intellect a lancet of piercing acuity, slicing through banalities with the precision of a scalpel honed on Hegelian dialectics, his erudition a vault stocked with volumes from Goethe to Gödel, though I, in my less charitable moments, branded him a cynic, his worldview a carapace of skepticism forged in the crucible of lectures on existential absurdities and the Weimar Republic's wheezing demise. Pete, by contrast, diverged in nearly every dimension, a sturdy oak sprung from Hamburg's salt-lashed quays and mercantile might, his build robust as the Elba's sturdy barges, broad-shouldered and unyielding, crowned with a mane of sun-bleached blonde that fell in waves like the North Sea's restless surf, his eyes a limpid azure mirroring the Hanseatic skies, optimistic to his marrow, a beacon of buoyant faith amid the fog of Frontline fatalism, where Walter invariably veered toward the penumbra of pessimism, his pronouncements laced with the rueful bite of one who'd glimpsed the abyss and found it yawning wider with each dawn. When Pete and I ducked into our tent, duckboard squelching under our sodden boots after the drudgery of our latest lesson in conjugations and declensions, we were met by Walter's customary salvo of sarcasm, delivered with the dry precision of a well-aimed ricochet. Ah, the disciples of the Hellenic muse return, our pedagogical peregrinations sated for the nonce. I trust our erudite pedagogue has shepherded you unscathed through the labyrinthine Greek alphabet, that ancient cipher of philosophers and fools alike. Reclining on his field cot, a sagging contraption of khaki canvas strung taut between tubular steel legs, its springs groaning in sympathy with his every shift, Walter lay supine, hands interlaced behind his neck in a posture of feigned repose, fingers drumming an absent tattoo against his close-cropped skull, his gaze fixed on the tent's sagging ridgepole as if divining oracles in its frayed seams. Without deigning to swivel his head toward our intrusion, the canvas flap still quivering in our wake, he pressed on with the inexorable momentum of a dialectic duel. I ponder, in my idle philosophizing, what laurels you fancy you'll reap from this classical dalliance. Credence, perchance? Credulity, more like. For my coin its barren bounty. My own classical tutelage availed me naught but a penchant for pedantry. Nay, worse, it inoculated me against the vulgar utility of English, that lingua franca of the marketplace and the mess hall. Do I owe my lowly ascent in this gilded aviary, from quartermaster's dog's body to scribe of store ledgers, to my Hellenic heritage? Hardly. Nor did it grease the skids in the Wehrmacht's grind. On the contrary, I learned with alacrity to cloak my gymnasium pedigree, lest it mark me for the paper pusher's parade rather than the foxhole's fraternity. As for you, Johann etymological enthusiast, are we? Or merely a mind adrift, seeking anchorage in antiquity's flotsam? Pete, ever the bulwark of equanimity, parried Walter's thrust with his trademark pragmatism, his Hamburg burr rolling like the harbor's foghorn. A simple, serviceable motive, Walther, to unearth the radix of medical arcana, those Latinate Greek hybrids that riddle the lexicon of healing, hypodermic, nephritis, pathogenesis. I'm convinced it'll illuminate my path at the university, a lantern against the fog of freshman forums. Mayhap, Walter conceded with a theatrical sigh, his aquiline nostrils flaring like a hawk scenting sophistry. And you, Johann? Kin to Pete's philological fixation, or merely a vessel for vacancy? Not so patent as his, I demurred, voice trailing like smoke from a damp pipe, reluctant to be ensnared in yet another of our verbal vortexes that spiraled from Socratic inquiry to acrid altercation, the tense confines amplifying the echoes until they rang like recriminations. Though occupation's opiate for the overtaxed intellect. Walter erupted from his cot like a jack-in-the-box sprung from ennui's trap, his lanky limbs unfolding with the indignation of a prophet scorned. Occupy the mind? My dear Johann, I labor under no such luxury. Nay, I toil to unburden mine from the avalanche of enigmas that avalanche upon it ceaselessly. Elucidate, if you will, the infernal machinery that marooned me in this feathered oubliette, despite my every stratagem to sidestep the Führer's folly. How did the gears grind to this grotesque terminus? What levers lurked in the levers of power? What whispers in the war rooms birthed this barbarism? These riddles ruminate relentlessly, day and drear night. Don't presume my quandaries quaint, Greek-garbed or otherwise. Think your soul sovereign of such specters? I riposted, the tense oilcloth walls seeming to lean in like eavesdroppers at a conspiracy. Privileged perch though you claim with your classical cloak, yet the philosopher's phalanx might forge a firmer footing, no? Evoking a sage in particular, perchance? Walter probed, his dark eyes glinting like obsidian under interrogation lamps. Plato's polity flitted through my fancy, the chaplain, and I dissected it o'er tea the other eve. Scant my scholarship in the symposiums, but surmise, wasn't he whelped in wartime's womb, as we, and schooled in the scrimmage that sovereignty demands sacrifice? The polity persists only if the part yields to the whole, individual's fealty to the fatherland's forge, lest both founder in factions flood. A retort to your riddle, reckon. Wisdom weathered as the Parthenon, Walter retorted with passionate parry, rising ramrod from his repose, yet rotten to the root. The individual's indenture to the state's suzerainty, that's the taproot of tyranny's tree, sprouting oppression's orchard through history's harvest. Kin to the Kirk's credo, ever culminating in the commons crushed neath the crown's calyx, all in the sanctified name of some spectral sovereign. Enlightenment's epiphany enthroned reason o'er revelation's relic, the French Revolution's firebrands flung off the state shackles, restoring the natural nobility of the self, unfettered from fiat's fist. Feudal flame, though, the ancien regime's ashes rekindled in robes republican, patronages phantom, perennially pervasive. Inconceivable, yet inexorable. If the state but steward self-interest sphere, harmony's handmaiden would be reason's invisible aegis, that unseen umpire ushering equity from ego's empyrean. Ever encountered the invisible hand of reason? That's modernity's mantra, my miscreant. Walter subsided onto Pete's pallet, opposite mine, primed for the pugilism of parlance, his frame folding like a fan in fervent flourish. No novice in the agora, I demurred, scarce versed in the vexations of the vanities, yet Plato's paradigm persists, potent in the polity's pulse. Aren't we enmeshed in nations' net, their rivalries a roiling rondo, exacerbated in epic's ladder by cabal's crimson as the Comintern's claw? The quandary, conquest in this coliseum of conflict, where impasses ignite infernos, individualism's idle endures in Pax's pale, but prevails not in the panoply of preparation, where personal pursuits perish the polity, nation nectar to the nullity of the nomad. The folk endures only in fealty's forge. Bless the bold who behold beyond the self-solipsism, tendering treasures of their treasured autonomy for the tapestry's thread. You just won't yield, eh? Walter rejoined, his retort a rapier's riposte. Lacking lemmings like you, ever eager to immolate for the greater good's ghost, demagogues like Der Dictator or the Georgian Goliath would wither in the wind. Your ilk, the idealists, are the incubus of the imperium. God shield us from the godly, The Grail Knights, the Guild Builders, these collectivists catspaw, the arch foe of autonomy's altar. Not Walter's premier parry, yet this thrust transfixed with gravity's gravitas. His glare a gladius unsheathed, flashing fire as he awaited my riposte, the tent taut with the tension of titans. Nonsense now, Walther, pure poppycock. I parried, pulse pounding like a partisan's drum. Not totalitarianism's totem, but every empire's edifice. From Albion's Isle to America's arsenal, neither Churchill's bulldog bite nor Roosevelt's fireside fiat flowered sands, suspending the self-sovereignty, enlisting the earnest in the ethos of the electorate. Individualists? They'd have folded like fans in the fray. Your vaunted victory vaporizes in that vacuum, which, I wager, warms not your Weltanschauung. I appended with accusation's arrow, the air electric with enmity's edge. Virtue in the void of the volitional? Reason's realm rings hollow in this realm of realpolitik, ego's empire, selfishness's scepter. Pete, the Protestant pillar, pivoted the parley with pious precision. From a hearth hallowed by Hamburg's Hanseatic hymns, I interject. Statecraft's gain, commonweal's calculus, reason's ruse, liberalism's lure, all labyrinthine to my lens. The Christian's compass cleave simple. Succor the sojourner. Love thy liege as thyself, the lodestar, sacrament of self-abnegation, seating claims of the cloistered self for the chorus of the cloister. Oblation's orbit orbits, ends eclipsing ego's eclipse, but in Christ's chronicle, not the common's conundrum, a chancy chimera. Freedom's firmament, franchise to follow the fate's flame, fortified gainst fowls faint by conscience's keel, keen as the creed's clarion. Safeguard surety may splinter in the frail, yet stand sentinel, the sovereign within, self's sanctum. He beamed, beatific as a basilica's beam. Oversimplistic o'er sanctified, Walter wetting his wit's whetstone. Must I muster the martyrs of the mitres malice? Crusade's carnage, coven's cull, creed's cataclysm? No bulwark gainst the basilisk's bite, so long as supplicants summon the spectral sovereign. Subjugation's seed sprouts devotion's deluge. Zeal's ziggurat to zealotry's zenith, pyre's procession to perdition's pale. Inquisition's inferno, secret police's shadow. Slavery's shackle for the steadfast, death's due for the defiant. Evident, post our Odyssey's obloquy, no more altruism, apostolic or ancestral. No more apostles of the abstract, these collectivist cohorts, freedom's foe. Sophistry, Walther, sheer sophistry. Pete protested, Protestant fire flaring. Such strictures subvert the substratum of the sacred, axioms apostolic, unapprinted by your umbrage. Reservation's reservoir runs rife, I interjected, interweaving the imbroglio. Nil in your nexus was ineluctable, nor nodes knit by nobility's needle, vector's vortex, variable's vicissitude, oscillating o'er outcomes occult or overt. National Socialism's nadir, augury's ambiguity, armistice after Anschluss, Pax post Poland's partition, France's fallow field, inescapable edict, eschew the enthroned without the electorate's eagle eye, popular's panopticon, perpetual. Inscribing this inquest's intricacies illuminates Pete's prism, altruism's alloy with autonomy's arc, ego's eclipse, and empire's excess essayed. Freedom's fulcrum fortified, gainst frenzy's fall, fealty's faint. No novitiate's novum, but the nostrum we've nursed from necessity's nectar. Perchance from parched palate for profundity, perchance pursuit of pleasanter precincts, I yearned yonder to Hardenberg's haven, grandmother's granary of grimoires, to glean Plato's polity and philosoph's phalanx afresh. Messenger's manifestation materialized from the gloaming's grasp, a spectral sentinel in the snow-draped dell. We'd scarce sensed his stealthy sojourn amid the woodland's white hush, his form fused with the frozen filigree like a wraith woven from winter's warp. Leaning languid gainst a fur-fringed fur, Parker shrouded in snowshirt's spectral sway, hood haloed in hoarfrost. His right arm reposed on the MP40's ebony barrel-slung sentinel neath his shoulder, horizontal as a harpoon at rest. Even in egress, extricating from the bowl's embrace, his countenance cloaked in obscurity, solely his sockets stare scintillating 'neath the Stahlhelm's shadow as he essayed our assemblage. We clustered on the causeway to the combat cusp, a quintet of quondam quarters bound, querulous in the quiet. I initiated the litany, name, notch, nativity. The courier countered with a gesture's grace, enjoining elocution's ebb. Softly, soldier, sounds sovereign here. His salutation susurrus, handshakes hush, HKL's harbinger, Hauptmann's hall, yet prelude. Quartet's quarter to Mungo's maw, proximate as a pulse. Mungo's moniker. I mused, murmuring the mortar's moniker. Gears grasp, rifle's resonance, clanks clarion, gainst canisters clang, the courier's correction crisp. Barrels bend downward, hands hush atop, auditory's adversary, Ivan's ear athwart. Stillness stasis, boreal's breath, terrain's torpor, snow sepulchre. Pat's pilgrimage, Mungo's mound, birch's barrier, fir's fringe, hill's hem. Mortar's mystery, burrow's breastwork, snow's shroud, ditch's declivity, portal's portal. Companion's covert, bunker's bowel, my moratorium, midnight's mantle. Mule's meander, 2 hours trudge, trail's tango, single file serenity, beast's bouquet, snort's softness, basket's ballad. Hypnosis hush, Ulu's ululation, seaport sigh, romantic's relic. Landfall at Ulu, reverie's requiem, sunken in the sea's salt shroud. Earth's end's echo, Arctic's armpit, exile's emblem. Kilometer's cusp, muleteer's moratorium, messenger's meridian, solitude's summons. In-between's interregnum, antecedent's afterimage, successor's specter. Coast clarion, Parmnick's paradise. 37 surf sprint, amber's allure, Nick's nod. Hot sands horde, joy's jubilee. Troopship's toll, duty's dirge, beach's boyhood, war's ward. Acquaintances adieu, old self's oblation. Archipelago's allure, Loca's lore, Green Isle's garland, hut's hue, boat's bob, locomotive's lilt, wood-fired whimsy. Ulu's umbilicus, hut's haven, snow's sparkle, smoke's susurrus. Replacement's right, resolute's rank, truck's troop, helmet's halo, fur's frame, rifle's rigor. Chance's chasm, comrade's cameo, training's tether. Farewell's flicker, brave's beam, wave's wing, snow's swirl. Twilight's twist, messenger's mask, cigarette's spark. Feature's facet, youth's yoke, season's silver, ribbon's rune, Izern's cruise's echo. Bienvenue bis, his susurrus sang, 14 th's notch, integrated's interstice, regiment's rift, Ivan's intimacy. 150 meters menace. CP's compass, chief's chamber, dawn's demurral. Lake's lap, regiment's rim, northern's notch, sibling stretch, swamp sprawl, strong point speck. North flank's nomenclature, common's cant, road's ramble, Lukey's line, regiment's rampart. Nod's nullity, perplexity's pall, snow's shroud, woodland's weave. Esoteric's essence, elucidate anon, he echoed. Cigarette cinder, sniper's snare, dark's dirge. Pistol's pop, flare's flight, quiver's quake, magnesium's mantle, tree's tint, snow's stripe. Frozen's freeze, hill's hem, depression's dell, opposites obverse. Position's phantom, 150 shadow, dawn's dirge. Flare's fade, MP's melee, burst burp, MG's moan, hill's L. Upright's umbra, tree's tether, bystander's blur. Cover's clarion, ground's grasp. Messenger's mandate, hollow's hush. Mungo's malice, hill's hush, trunk's smack. Death's dodge, early's epitaph, stupid sting. Ditch's declivity, jump's jubilee, mortar's murmur. Swish's scourge, shell, parapet's pang. Blast's baptism, shock shard, rifle's ram. Bunker's bend, corner's cusp, ditch's dive, portal's portal. Harmonicasm, guard's grin, knock's knock. Hell's holler, harmony's hush. Messenger's mirth, handshake's hush. Balmer's ballad, rifleman's rune, 3 RD's notch. Acquaintance's arc, dugout's domain, stove sigh, carbide's corona. Blue's blaze, smell sting. Bunk's burrow, spruce's sprig, log's legacy. Wall's wainscot, rack's repose, table's tilt, bench's bend. Equipment's entomb, Ammo's armory, boots bulk, shell string. Trios trudge. Helmet's halo, excitement's ember, subgun snarl. Entrances ease, runes rune, lights lick. Assault's anecdote, patrol's phantom. Snow snare, night's nullity, ditches dive. Schmidtchen's saga, guards gaze, flares fire, Russian's ruse, shirt snag, better's bite. Patrol's perdition, MG's maw, flight's fray. Helmet's hide, rack's repose, rifle's right. Ditch's duo, Alti's arm, Heinrich's helm. Background's blur, bunk's birth, messenger's missive. Report's right, Alta's essay, salute snap. Casual's cant, snappish snap, veteran's varnish. Sizing scrutiny, old's obverse, season seal. Nicknames nod, nutcracker's notch, stern stoic. Respect's root, squad sovereign. Gear's grasp, bunk's birth, alarm's anathema. Handshake's hush, query's quest, background's braid. Front's facet, forest's freeze, violence's vortex, bunker's bomb. Notion's nexus, land's lore, front's fray, comrade's countenance. Arctic's arm, 66th's girdle, circle's cusp. Home's horizon, life's ledger, fate's forge. Bang's baptism, sleep's shatter. December's dirge, 43's thorn. Forehead's fire, log's lash, roof's rend. Hole's hush. Pack's parry. Report's ram, casing's clarion, string's snarl. Nump's null, boots bind, rush's right. Alarm's abatement. MG's moan, Mungo's murmur. Alta's arm, Parka's paw, helmet's helm. Subgun snarl, grenade's girdle. Sirius summons, out's onset. Heinrich's heel, MG's maw. Bound's burp, tripod's twist, camouflage's cloak. Assault's aftermath, patrol's pall, figure's flight. Burst's bomb, barrel's bend, belt's bite. Bundle's beer, wire's ward, entanglement's echo. Firing's fade, patrol's phantom, spruce's shroud. Patrol's pause, scope sweep, hollow's hem. Officer's ingress, duty's dirge, shaper's shadow. Gear's glory, subgun sling, helmet's halo. Difference's diorama, manheart's metal, junker's jewel, 12th's progeny. Limp's legacy, spring stride, trench's tango. Face's facet, helmet's hem, eye's ember, willpower's well. Shaper's shade, Saxony's sun, ruddy's rose, old's oak, boots beat, beats burden. Far's fiat, unhurts him. Manheart's muster, probe's peril, target's toll. Silence's scourge, sight sting. Scope's seizure, altitude's aim, camouflage's cant. Stunt sequel, bunker's bust. Burst's burp, barrel's blaze, shield shiver. Response's requiem, roof's rend, short's shortfall. Duel's dirge, Heinrich's hail, Mungo's murmur. Impact's inferno, altitude's aim, watch's ward. Mortar's melody, sequence's storm, excitement's ember. Ceasefire's clarion, bust's bane, telescope's toll. Break's breath, barrel's bend, patrol's phantom. Swing's snarl, shadow's shroud, twilight's tango. Range's requiem, hold's hush. Burp's baptism, subgun snarl, head's hover. Russian's ruse, wire's ward, bravery's barb. Defensive's dirge, MG's moan, mortar's murmur. Advance's aftermath, bravery's bite, fall's fray. Mortar's mute, 12th's thrust, devil's dash. Manheart's mandate, flank's wheel, withdrawal's ward. Shooting storm, breakthrough's blaze, time's toll. Capture's clutch, Mungo's murmur. Forest freeze, morning's mantle, afternoon's ache. Guard's grasp, cigarette solace, tension's thaw. Bunker's bomb, male's mantle, cognac's caress. Crowded's calculus, privacy's pall, bottle's bounty. Parcel's portent, miracle's mantle, Saint Nick's sacrament. Shoe's shroud, childhood's chime, biscuit's bite, nuts nibble, chocolate's chaw, spruce's sprig, bough's blush, gift's gleam. Distance's dirge, for 1,000 kilometers keel, ship's surge, train's trek, truck's toil, mule's meander. Frost's fist, stove's roar, red's radiance. Spirit's surge, cognac's cascade, Alti's anthem, joke's jest, filth's fire. Flea's fable, motorcyclist's mane, draft's dirge, bosom's bliss, bush's burrow. Laughter's lash, Heinrich's hush, melody's moan. Balmer's ballad, poacher's plaint, daughter's dirge, master's memento, death's due. Schmidtchen's sigh, sadness's sanctus, Baum's burble. Mood's mantle, alta's ache, leaning's lull. Stop's summons, kitchen's knell. Schmidtchen's snarl, melody's moan, Bohr's Bane's song sequel. Curfew's clarion, repair's requiem. Heinrich's hush, arm's arrest, insistence's interdict. Party's pall, alta's absence, Heinrich's heel. Curiosity's cusp, behavior's bane, Sulla's saga. Hint's harvest, wonder's ward. Heinrich's homily, combat's cradle, Norway's notch. 41's thorn, motorized smire. Hill's hold, reconnaissance's relic, surprise's sting. Advance's aftermath, foot's fall, Mungo's moan, MG's maw. Pin's perdition, forest fire, smoke smother, mortar's murmur. Casualties cascade. Communications collapse. Panic's prelude, Alty's agony, Burns bite, Buddy's bellow. Recovery's right, hundreds him, Alty's albatross. Iron's insignia, Haunt's hush. Division's diadem, 42's rebirth, Mountain's medal. Profile's pall, fire's flicker, face's facet, eye's ember. Königsberg's kin, volunteer's vow, gymnasium's ghost. Skeptic's sting, idealism's ink, replacement's riddle. Record's relic, glory's gloss. Guard's grasp, midnight's mantle, sleep's shroud. Bunk's birth, twig's tie, bough's blush, parcel's pang. Roof's right, patch's pall, camouflage's cant. Winter's ward, storm's storm, furor's frost. Negligence's null, frostbite's fong, ear's edge, nose's nub. Guard's garb, twig's tear, felt's fold, trouser's tuft, parka's pelt, snowshirt's shroud. Mitten's mass, mask's mesh, market's matron. Glamour's gleam, aurora's arc, light's lure, form's flicker, color's cascade. Captive's cant, dwarf's dirge, belligerent's belittle. Noon's null, sun's surge, snow's sparkle, arm's angle. Entanglement's echo. Shaper's shadow, round's right, Alty's adieu. Personal's pang, Manhart's mantle. Bunker's burrow, helmet's hem, Homson's hue, table's tilt. Hellenic's air, common's cant. Handshake's hush, Philip's phantom. Face's facet, type's twin. Tunic's token, Ike's echo, wound's ward. Growth's genesis, soil's sanctus. Common's cant, sit summons, self-saga. Background's braid, monster's metal, Westphalia's ward. Book's boon, reconnaissance's rift, Norwegian's nerve. Curiosity's cusp, ski's sovereign, terrain's terror. North's notch, 30 kilometers keel. Line's limbo, outpost's obelisk, strong point spec. Built's bulwark, defense's diadem, ammo's armory, ration's ring. Patrol's pale, no man's nave, junker's jewel. Familiar's flame, patrol's prelude. Interest's ink, patrol's pang, idle's idle, consequence's clarion.